It has Isis right here. Why?
My dear, my dear, my dear. My dear, I want you here. Don't get too near for there's lions beware.
Hey guys, so I'm back. So this video I'm doing something a little different, but what I've been aiming to do this whole time that I've been making videos about spirituality, and that is to talk more of the things that I'm interested in. And I really love tarot, and I also love oracle decks. So if you notice, the title of this video is my favorite oracle decks. If you aren't sure what an oracle deck is, an oracle deck, it has some similarities to tarot, but it's not tarot. The only thing that makes it similar to tarot is that you can use it as a tool for divination. It has a lot less rules than tarot does. Anybody can, like when it comes to making oracle deck, the theme can be pretty much anything. There's so many beautiful artists that have created tarot decks. And you'll notice with the decks that I show you today, they all kind of have a different theme, and they're all very, very different. And I use them for kind of different things, but I use them similarly. So how I use my oracle decks. So I've been out of practice. So making this video is kind of like trying to get me the push to go back to like my spiritual practice, because I've been off of it for so long. But typically what I would do when I would use my oracle decks in conjunction with my tarot decks, in the morning I would cleanse the decks, but I would just ask, what did I need to know that day? And I would pull a card from each deck, and a lot of times they were associated, but I would kind of just reflect on what that card said, like what resonated with me. And it was really, really simple, because being new, I'm by no means a tarot expert. I've practiced it for some while, but some time, but I'm not a tarot expert by any means. And sometimes when tarot can be a little bit intimidating, a quick pull from the oracle deck can kind of just be less overwhelming. So really quickly, I know that wasn't the greatest explanation, but hopefully as I go through my favorite hopefully when I go through my favorite oracle decks, I can give a little bit more insight on how I use them and why they're my favorite. So here we go. Okay, so this is the first deck, tarot, oracle, whatever, that I ever bought. This is the Goddesses and Sirens oracle deck. It's my favorite. I love them all, but this one's my favorite. This is my go-to. Hold on. My cat was like lingering around. I cleansed my decks with this little bottle of Florida water, and I hadn't put the cap on, and I knew my cat was going to try to do some things. Anyways, but I don't know why I was drawn. I don't know how I came across this deck. I ordered it off Amazon, I think. Where did I see it? I don't know if somebody suggested it on Twitter or YouTube or something. And I just thought it was really beautiful. Like the first card that I see on the bottom is Pele. So as you can imagine, it's called the Goddesses and Sirens. It basically depicts goddesses and sirens, because not all of them are necessarily considered goddesses, but from so many different cultures, like all across the board. Some of the goddesses I had heard of before, some of them are newly introduced. And what I love about it is, so they're so beautiful. Like here's Pele, this is Yemaya, the Orisha, it has hope. So as you can see, under each goddess there is like a key word. So this one's representing purpose. Let's see. This one's poking out. Okay, so this one that popped up was Hera, and it has commitment. So normally what I'll do is I'll pull a card. I try to look at it and see what I just intuitively see from it, and then I go to the guidebook, and let's see. Let's find our girl. Commitment. It says a relationship of some kind is spotlighted. Re-examine your loyalties and commitments and see if they're still warranted. Petty jealousies must be put aside for a greater good. So it has a little italicized section. That's what I just read. And it gives a historical background of like the goddess, which is really, really interesting. And it kind of like, it kind of explains, it goes into depth what it was saying. But what it also does is it has the shadow side, which I find is really interesting. because it's good to hear all the beautiful stuff and the beautiful story, but there's always a shadow side of things. So that's what I appreciate too, because a lot of times that's why the card jumps out to me, is because it's trying to tell me there's something in my shadow that's peeking out. Like it says, in spite of being committed in her marriage, Hera was not fully committed in all relationships, particularly with her children. So it also gives you symbols like associated with the goddesses, and then it gives you an invocation. So if you want to do like a ritual of some sort, it can give you insight on how to do that. I guess because I have a lot of feminine energy, the reason why I love this deck so much is because I love seeing strong, powerful women, and it always connects with me, like whenever I use this deck. So that's why it's one of my tops, one of my favorites. Honestly, I want to get some of the pictures. Like this is Callie. I'm going to show you some of them. I don't want to say they're my favorite. Then you have Baba Yaga, which is authenticity. So that's not like the traditional like beautiful siren, but the message with it is beautiful. One of my favorite cards, it has Isis right here. Why? What would make you do that? My cat, yo, she just be wilding out. Stop. Is something out there? Like what? She is tripping. Amaterasu. So this is one of my favorite ones. I remember when I initially got this deck, I kind of just went through and was reading all the goddesses. I had never heard about Amaterasu. I want to get this like picture tattooed. I'll probably add it to my leg sleeve. It's about self-esteem. It's a beautiful story. Yeah, so that's one of my favorite oracle decks. This deck is called The Universe Has Your Back. It's like a companion deck for the book The Universe Has Your Back, which is by a wonderful author by the name of Gabrielle Bernstein. This deck is really simple and straightforward. It didn't come with a guidebook, literally. It just has really, really supportive phrases. Like, and that's why when I would start my day, I would kind of just like to just pull a card from this deck, because it just gave you something to reflect on, and just like, I don't know, it just makes you feel warm and fuzzy. The artwork, this is the back side of the deck. And then like this one says, hope is a conduit for miracles. Let's see, let's pull one. Yo, my cat is wild. So wild. Okay. It says, I'm unapologetic about what I desire and trust that what I focus on will grow. So it has beautiful messages like that, which is just like straightforward, nothing too heavy, nothing too deep. Just a good thing to just like move about your day with, a good little word. So that's why this is one of my favorite decks. Next up, we have the Soulful Woman deck. This deck, once again, it has a lot of like, it's solely based on like feminine energy. What does it say on the inside? I just read the introduction. It says the Soulful Woman guidance cards are designed to inspire and nurture your feminine soul and support you in manifesting from the sacred feminine. So this deck has all these beautiful cards, and each card was made by a different artist. And it tells you, like, if you want to know who made a specific card, it gives you... I can't even focus because she just, I don't understand. You don't have to go over there, though. Whew. Let's just pull a card and see, because I lost all my focus because she is doing the absolute most right now. This one's poking out. Okay, it says, okay. So it says, savoring the positive, I allow myself the spaciousness of savoring the delicious gifts in my life, which is beautiful. Like, that's a beautiful message. Basically talking about just allowing yourself the space to enjoy the beautiful things and the blessings in your life. So love this deck. It's one of my favorite. See, like this message came out of nowhere on the underside of the deck. Time to follow. It says, creative manifestation occurs more easily when I have nurtured myself and honored my time to follow. It's beautiful. So love this deck, and I will put a link down below, the specific names of the decks in case anybody's interested. So last but not least, definitely not least, but I noticed I use this deck less often, but something about it is very, very Like all the other decks, I feel like their guidebook is super in depth, right? It's like super duper crazy in depth. This one, which is the Wild Unknown Animal Spirit deck, which I think is like absolutely beautiful. It's all about like spirit guides. I mean, like animals, as you can see. But the descriptions are kind of vague, right? But it's like open to your interpretation and what resonates with you. But then it also tells you, like, it gives you like some keywords up here, then it gives you a little description, but then it tells you like when said animal spirit's in balance, when it's out of balance, and what can bring it into balance. So sometimes too, what I've noticed, sometimes I don't even pull a card from this deck, but I live near the woods, so I'll be seeing random creatures all the time. And sometimes, like one time there was just a frog sitting outside my door, and I was like, why is this frog outside of my door? Like, why does the universe want me to see this wild frog? Why is it just sitting here hanging out on, literally sitting on my doormat? Like my doormat was folded, which was weird. It was just sitting on there. So I came and I was like, let me find frog. Let me find it and see what it says. And it was frog right here. It says clearing, cleansing, and healing. The frog and the water element are almost inseparable. The frog spends its first months of life entirely within its healing element. Basically, it was telling me I need to recharge. That's what it was telling me. I was like, that is very on point message, sir. So sometimes I didn't even use the deck. But this one, I think this deck calls to me at very specific times. So I don't necessarily, when I would do like just a daily reading for myself, I wouldn't necessarily use this deck every day. It would just call to me when I needed to use it. So this one, the spider. So interestingly enough, spider came up. This one came. I consider, if I was to have like a spirit animal, I would consider the spider one of my spirit animals. And it's because the spider is one of the most patient and hardworking. And I'm gonna read to you, or I don't know, these be kind of long, and my teeth are really big, and you can go watch my Insta Smile thing. And it's not, I know how to read, it's just my mouth is really tired, and I be having a lot of spit in my mouth, and I have a lisp with these teeth, and it's not lit. But the spider, so that's the card that came up, spider right here. And it says creator of prosperity through life's work, and then dharma. It says the spider, see, that's that list. This weird stuff happens in my mouth. So the spider is an ingenious creator. Its greatest gift is weaving the thread of dharma into a vast, intricate web that supports the spider and those around it, both financially and spiritually. It is hard work, but the spider neither tires nor becomes impatient. This card reminds us creativity is everywhere. Be process-oriented rather than results-oriented, and soon your work becomes like the weaving of a magical, priceless tapestry. Abundance follows. It says, when in balance, appreciative, enthusiastic, and prosperous. When out of balance, discouraged, tired, and forlorn. And to bring into balance, you need playful creativity. So I love that that's the card that came up. That's the one that if I was to associate myself with anything, it would be the spider. So hopefully this was a fun video. I want to make more videos about like my spirituality and how I connect to it in my whole spiritual journey. So this is one of the first steps in that. Yeah, so it's been a while since I bought a new oracle deck, and I'm trying to get back into practice of using my oracle decks, and I'm about to do a little tarot reading in a second. And yeah, I hope that you enjoyed this video. List down below if you use any oracle decks, if you've used any of these oracle decks, if you have any recommendations for me. I'm open to them. So like the video, subscribe to my channel. You can find me Ugly Witty pretty much everywhere. I have a podcast, Chicken Soup for the Hot Girl Soul. And yeah, I'll see y'all next video. Bye.